Hello and welcome to this 12th part of the series, Death, Where is Your Sting? The final judgment. Now, the book of life is probably referred to in Exodus 32, verses 32 to 33. But now, if you will forgive their sin, but if not, please blot me out of your book that you have written. But the Lord said to Moses, whoever has sinned against me, I will blot out of my book. And this is one of those uncomfortable verses that should help us to keep short accounts with God. For this to be consistent with the rest of the Bible, we must know that God here is talking about unatoned sin. Otherwise, he would be a very lonely God and we would have no hope. Revelation 3:5 gives us some insights into what is contained in this book of life. The one who conquers will be clothed thus in white garments. I will never blot his name out of the book of life. I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. So, Jesus has editorial control over this book. It is synonymous with the Lamb's Book of Life, referred to elsewhere in Revelation. And in Revelation 20:12, and I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and books were opened. Then another book was opened, which is the Book of Life, and the dead were judged by what was written in the books, according to what they had done. And this opens up an interesting thought. There is a book being continually updated with all I have done. These books, plural, are obviously to be used for judging purposes, but I believe the higher authority book is the book, singular, of life. We are told elsewhere, for example, Romans 10:9, that if we put our faith in Jesus, that we will be saved. So we can infer that our confession of faith in Jesus means our names are in the book of life. That is, I believe, the crucial book to have your name in. What I don't know is if all my sin is recorded in one of the other books. We are told in Hebrews 8:12 that God will not remember our sins. So my guess is that our sins are removed from that record of our lives. So judgment will clearly be performed based on the contents of these books. Revelation 20:15, and if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. So even though a personal book may say what a good person someone has been, if their name is not in the book of life, then they will be thrown into the lake of fire. And this is the same lake of fire that the beast and the Antichrist had previously been thrown into. Conversely, if someone has their name in the Lamb's Book of Life, then they will be saved. And remember too that a person has been saved or unsaved at the time they died. There is no suggestion that a book can be edited after the person has died. So, who will be the judge? Acts 10:42. And he commanded us to preach to the people and to testify that he is the one appointed by God to be judge of the living and the dead. So God has decided that Jesus should be the judge. Now this is called the final judgment because there has already been a preliminary judgment when God decides who goes into the good side of Sheol, or latterly paradise, or who goes to the pit. So what is this final judgment? Now, there has been much debate over whether all those who are saved are equal or have the same benefits in eternity. Will some be road sweepers, while others are perhaps kings? But to be clear, when a person is saved, they are saved, period. That person's eternal destination is assured. However, 1 Corinthians 3:11-15. For no one can lay a foundation other than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. Now, if anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, each one's work will become manifest, for the day will disclose it. Because it will be revealed by fire, and the fire will test what sort of work each one has done. If the work that anyone has built on the foundation survives, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, though he himself will be saved, but only as through fire. Now this tells us that it is up to each one of us what we build in our lives. There are only two kinds of works: those that survive the fire, in the example above, gold, silver and precious stones, and those that are burned up by the fire, for example, wood, hay and straw. Now the fire here is that of judgment, so that if the works are judged as being productive, fruitful, worthy, then the person will receive a reward. On the other hand, if the works are unfruitful, unworthy, then they shall be destroyed in the fire of judgment, and the consequence is that the person will suffer loss. What that loss is, we are not told, but we are reassured that the person is still saved and their eternal destination is assured. To summarise this, some people will have rewards while others shall have losses. It is difficult to say, but the presumption is that not everyone resurrected into the new earth will be equal as we understand it. I do not believe that there would be any kind of them and us scenario, and we could speculate endlessly on the possibilities of how this may work out. But perhaps it's best to just leave it at that. Certainly the thought of being before God and having my account read out before him is a daunting thought. And I believe it is right that it should be a daunting thought. It should help us to avoid getting into presumption. It should cause us to more closely examine ourselves. It should cause us to try to hear what God is saying more. It should help us to refuse to deliberately sin. So that concludes the 12th part of this series, Death, Where is Your Sting? Thank you for watching.